need to send you a link as a member. Okay, if you want to review anything like that past, just ask us. And then obviously all of our public forums, right? Your domestic violence, any of the candidate forums, all of that stuff is also on our YouTube page. So we can't do this without all of you volunteers. So you're going to hear me have a very hard ask for your time soon. Okay, right? We are volunteers. We have a part-time administrative person, but our teams need your assistance. And again, I'm going to get into, I think somewhere in here, we talk about team. Sorry, I was reviewing this at like dark 30 in the morning, but we do get into which teams need some assistance, which are pretty much all of them. All right, housekeeping items. Silence those phones for me. Restrooms, I believe, are out and to the left. Hello, Dr. Duncan, another member. So we are now up to 25 on our count for our annual meeting minutes. We are going to be asking very shortly someone to take minutes. This is a volunteer position that we do at this meeting. So I need you to, again, dig deep into that soul for me. Right here's that hard ask. Anybody good at taking minutes that would like to take? Got a volunteer? Yes, ma'am. And I think we're up to now 26. No, you were already on the list. You were, yes, ma'am. So Miss Perry, right?
Yes.
Is our note taker. What's your first name again?
Kelly.
Kelly, son of a gun. Kelly Perry is our note taker for today. Thank you, Kelly. And our parliamentarian. This is kind of a, I'm going to kind of put a couple of league members that have been in the league for quite a long time and knew Robert's Rules of Orders and how we're supposed to run our meetings. That's Miss Judith, Miss Anna. Anybody else want to volunteer for that position to kind of be our parliamentarian today? Anyone going once? Bueller going twice. Miss Brenda, you are also online. Would you mind being our parliamentarian today? Again,
I respectfully decline, not up to speed.
Thank you, Brenda. All right, so Julie is going to be our parliamentarian for today, as well as running our Zoom, and thank you for that. Perfect. All right, so as you well know, you should have received a meeting packet a few weeks ago, right? Published in our Pikes Peak Voter that Julie's team communications put out. It includes your agenda, your proposed budget, reports from all of your teams, and the nominating committee for your new slate of officers for this upcoming year. So as you refer to, if you have any questions, please refer to those materials during our meeting. Julie's going to try to keep them up on the screen as much as possible, including for you, Brenda, in the share screen portion of Zoom. So we'll try to keep up with technology as much as we can. So please be patient with us there. All right. And I'm assuming, Brenda, you can hear me all right. I'm trying to project enough without a microphone. Is that correct? You can hear okay?
Yes, I'm hearing fine.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right. Your agenda again was published in the Voter, which you should have with you today. If you've got your email, you can call that up on your phone. Are there any corrections, suggestions to our agenda for the day? Which again is also up on your screen. All right, I hear none in person or Julie, I do see chat. That's not anything I need to be worried about, right? Okay, perfect. So nothing in the chat and no corrections. So your agenda is adopted as published. At this time, next on your agenda is your minutes, the approval of your minutes. So the minutes of the 2022 annual meeting were read by a committee specifically after last year's meeting. This is all in our bylaws, corrected as needed. And then subsequently your admin team approves those minutes. So for you today, again, it's mainly one of those things that it's part of Robert's Rules of Orders and our bylaws is what we are doing. But I would like to ask for 2 volunteers who are reading those minutes today, right, Julie, according to this? So I need 2 volunteers to read the minutes from today's meeting, right? That's kind of the process. You're going to read the minutes based on that. And then you're going to send that to our admin team for approval again for next year. So if any volunteers to read this year's minutes for next year's, Miss Sandra and Miss Molly, I got 2, Sandra Collins and Molly Williams. So if there's no objections, the minutes of today's meeting will be read by a committee consisting of Sandra Collins and Molly Williams and approved by your administration team at one of our regular meetings. Does anybody have any objections? If you do, please raise your hand and then come up to the microphone. There isn't a microphone, but come on up here. Any objections, or note those in your chat if you are online, please. I'm assuming none, Julie, in the chat. Thank you. Hearing no objections, the meetings of today's meeting will be submitted to that reading committee named and approved by your admin team at one of our regular meetings. Perfect. Look how efficient we are, because at 1:30 we're supposed to be on finance and we're already ahead of schedule. Yay for us. Okay, financial statement. Here's the big bad boy. This one does take a few minutes. This is probably one of the most important things that you will do besides guiding your admin team on what you want us to work on. So to present the financial statement, Tammy, your treasurer, is going to come on up and she is going to present to you. And if you have any questions, is that possible to get that up, Julie? Awesome. Julie should be bringing that up. Again, you should have this budget that was presented to you in Voter. Is that correct, Julie? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So all of those, if you have any questions or need a copy, please ask for one. And then
and while we're transitioning,
stand up.
Everybody smile.
I'll take a picture.
I don't know.
All right, Tammy, look at that camera for me.
Judith, if you want to lean back and get your okay. I'll get another one from that angle later.
Tammy, I also have a budget, so if you want to start with financial report and then go to budget, or we can start with budget and then go to financial.
We'll start with what you have up.
Excellent, thank you.
Hi, I'm Tammy Harold. I just started this in November timeframe, so I am new to this, and please help me along. Anybody that knows what I'm supposed to be doing if I miss something. So our income last year, for April 1, 2022 to March 31, 2023, income was $20,988. Our expenditures were $29,486. Obviously, that means this year we're going to be concentrating on more income to balance out our expenses. Then there's a list of all the different accounts we have. We closed the A and B account. That's why it shows 0 this year. I just wanted to put that up there so it shows from last year to this year what we did. So we have it all in one location. It's easier to manage with one credit union. Credit union does not charge us any fees, so that's been a nice benefit to go to them. We are now a 501c3, so anything, yes, that was a lot of work. I looked through all the documents to get that ready to go in, so good job on everybody that worked on that last year. Comparing last year to this year, where we budgeted and what we actually ended up with, we had some different, we were lower in some of our expenses because we did not have an admin assistant the entire year. And we're still in that mode this year. I'm not sure where we're at. I'm looking for one, but we haven't had one for a little bit. So that expense will probably be a little less this budget year than what is in there right now. So our goals coming forward is going to be to recruit volunteers to assist with some grant writing and our fundraising. We definitely need to increase our fundraising. And the one big one we do every year is Love the League. That we definitely need to be looking at getting more sponsors. That truly helps us with our budget and being able to get our message out there. And I had some great help this year on the budget committee. Sandra Collins and Shelley were on that and helped out, and all the different teams presented their budgets. And yes, we did cut some of them. I know that wasn't, especially voter services, they weren't very happy, but we did what we had to do. So, any questions so far? Yes.
I just have a question. On the Ed Fund, League of Visitors, Colorado, is the total assets, is that, that's not the local league, that's Colorado's league?
It should be on the next line down. Total assets should have been
Oh, okay.
all of that added together.
Okay,
The-
okay. I
Sorry,
didn't make,
Format.
didn't make sense to me.
I didn't notice that when it was put on
All
here.
right.
My fault. I should
never
have
mind.
saw that.
We'll share. Okay.
Yes,
I just,
So just a formatting issue. Total
Yes.
assets should be on the next line.
next line,
Uh-huh,
total, yeah.
yes, ma'am.
I see the equity is. the same.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions for Tammy? On your
Last.
financial
year's-
report for 2023? No? So do we have a motion to adopt? Oh, sorry, that's not,
Now
nope,
you're gonna
sorry,
do.
budget presentation, my bad. 2020, our next year's budget,
Right.
right?
So,
I don't see anything up there for parties.
It's under there. Love the League is a party and
Where is it?
membership is parties, right? It is, that's kind of our meet and greets and our fun celebrations together. Would you agree with that, Sandra, as your team?
Yeah.
I would. So, and she
Well,
does
the
have,
last one was good. Where is it?
she does, well, now again, it's just under membership. It's under
Okay.
her team.
Oh,
Yeah,
This
so
is kind of hard to see because of lights.
can we turn the lights off?
Terry, where's the front door?
There we go.
oh, yeah.
and I can still see.
Administrative expenses.
So
And-
overall, we're projecting an overall revenue of 19,800 and our expenses again this year, right around 29,000. Yes. Okay. So, that leaves us obviously with a $10,000 deficit, and that's why our big push this year is going to be to do grants and Give Day. We can do that now that we are the
There will
state and different Give Days that they have out there. We can participate in those now that we're an official 501c3.
And those give days are not listed in your budget right there. So under
We don't know.
fundraising income, right, we have no idea what our first year will look like. So it's kind of, that's where your deficit's kind of coming from a fundraising chair perspective. When I look at that, I'm looking at your give days and I don't know what your baseline is. Okay, so that's what we're gonna try and do, at least 2 give days this year and see how that goes for us.
So we're projecting 135 members, and the number that's the 8,000 is all the money that comes in from that. And then down under expenses,
Scroll up, yeah, it's right there at the very bottom, very
Okay.
bottom. There it is.
all right,
PMPs to, yeah.
right here. That's what the state and national charge us. So I put in how much we were getting at the top instead of netting it out, so we would know how much we're actually getting in from everybody. And then exactly how much we're paying out is down below, so that we don't give the whole 8,000. We have to give it back to some other organizations. which
So
is
according
fine.
to this, we're getting in 8,350 and 6,880 is going out.
We only keep $14 per member that of your 66 that you pay for your dues. We're going to be getting some interest from the different CDs and the savings account. I am trying to keep as little as I can in the checking and keeping it in savings just to give us a little few pennies of interest every once in a while. Program income, I'm not sure. I'm looking off of our budget recommendation committee. I'm not sure where, yeah, hopefully following. Love the League is another one of ours that we're doing. The Gen Z program that is listed under the contributions and support. that team decided this year not to do it, is what I'm remembering. So that will be adjusted out of both the, I will ask for an amendment to this to adjust both Gen Z off their expenses and the income on this one this year, since they have decided not to do that after we went through this. Right?
And let me fix
Okay.
that. So they're not doing it until next year, but we may raise money for it this year, right? Because we've been in the red just a little bit, not too much, but I think it was like $150, right? Where we've given out all of these $1,000 awards to these video winners. So know that we may raise money, but no money will be going out in this calendar year. So you may see your, I don't know how that will work, but you know, to wait until next year to raise money for a project that we know is coming up is difficult in my fundraising mind to get over. So some money from your give day may go directly to that, right? So know that that's kind of one of those things that they did decide to delay actual implementing it until the 2024, you know, election season. Okay, not your school board fall in this fall.
So I'll let Shelley talk about if we need to amend or not when we get there.
Yeah.
Merchandise, we have merchandise back there, cute little mugs and t-shirts, all the different kinds of things that we're hoping to raise a little bit of funds with. Our fall forums that we will be having with the school board, we have co-sponsors and they help offset some of our costs by donating and being co-sponsors with that. Grants are from, we definitely know we'll be getting one from the state. They actually now have it at 750, realizing that expenses have gone up. When we did this, it was 500, but it will be going up, so that will be helpful. We have a card that's going to be donated this year, and we will be able to use those funds. As for donations, I think that's about it. Just general donations that come in throughout the year. We're hoping to get about 2,000 into that. And then that takes us to all of our expenses, which is the majority of my time is spent on that. So administrative expenses, we do have a one part-time paid position with the league, and that is our administrative support. We're hoping to average about 40 hours a month for them, so it's definitely part-time. We're still looking for somebody, I think. All right, so that's in the budget. That's a pretty big expense for us, but everybody else is volunteering. It is really hard to keep everything else going without some assistance. So the admin team has decided to, really look at that administrative support person to help us out there. The Club Express fees, that is credit card fees. The company that manages our credit cards, when you pay online or do anything, they have their fees, obviously. So that's our fees for them. This year, the state conference is going to be all on Zoom. It's not going to be at a place, so it's only $5 a person. We had budgeted for 20 people to attend it. I did not see how many had signed up already. Pardon me on that. So there's that. Obviously, we have to have insurance, and that is about $775 a year to keep us all, the crime, errors and omission, different liability when we go out to events. If anything were to happen, we have to provide our insurance to the different organizers of those events. Materials, supplies, the PO box we have, the phone messaging system, that's about $500. So that's where all that comes in. And then we are at the dues again that I already talked about. Advocacy team. we budgeted $100. We need somebody to be in charge of or lead the advocacy team, if I remember that right. So that's going to be an ask for a volunteer. Communications, that's our website, mostly doing our advertising through Google and Facebook and different places that Julie looks at for doing advertising, some mailings, some postage, the podcast that we're doing. Community partners, the International Women's Day specifically, we know that that is one that we will be participating in. The events, Love the League, it costs us money to have a facility and the food and different things that we do there. Leadership is looking at having a few more events this year to give more opportunities for people to get together. There'll be a June picnic, June 3rd, August 26th meeting, a holiday meeting in December. They're looking at, maybe a few more little get-togethers than that. Voter service is our biggest expense because that's our main mission, is to get people interested in voting, get them registered, get them out there, give them the information that they need on the different ballot measures and do candidate forums. So outreach is a lot of what we do. Community events such as Juneteenth, Cinco de Mayo, the Pride, Fiestas Patrias, candies for those events, the farmers market and craft fairs, all of those charge us to have a booth there. That's the majority of the funds that we spend doing the voter 411 bookmarks and those type of things, handouts that we give out. I think that's about it. Who has questions or what do you want me to talk about some more? Are you done talking about numbers? Because I could talk all day.
Questions on your proposed?
The places where we get booths, do the prices go down at all now that we're a 501c3? Bummer.
Nope. We try for free ones, but usually, we do look for ones that we think, Pride is we're busy at Pride. Juneteenth is another one. We tried to partner with the NAACP, but they didn't like that. The organizers of Juneteenth said we had to have separate booths. So we tried to partner. Colorado Latinos Vote partners with this, with Fiestas Patrias. So that helps us, but their event cost triple, it was very different from last year. So we're trying to, on the fly, figure out which ones are affordable for us and benefit us selfishly. So that answers your question. And if anybody knows any free ones, all right, MAC, we're going to be at the first Friday at MAC, I think, once a month. We were, thanks to Judith and her group, we were at the CFAM markets. We were at the Pioneers Museum. So we're trying to be in different places. We're hopefully going down the Fountain, right? I'm pretty sure we're going to be doing a couple things down the Fountain as well. So if you know of any and suggest it, part of the place where it says members, you want to guide us, right? In the thing that says, hey, here's what I want you to look into, suggest those things, okay?
And we are Teller County too. So if you think of something that's up in like the Woodland Park area, would be nice to get one event at least every year up there. So there's some opportunities to branch out more in our region because we're not just Colorado Springs, we are the Pikes Peak region.
Any other questions for Tammy and your budget? Does Brenda have any on line at all? Being past treasurer, right? As past treasurer, she probably got some insight.
Yeah.
What is membership going up so much in 24?
It's not.
It's not.
Local,
it's still $66.
Local leagues get to set their membership dues, and our local league, specifically for your admin team, has never recommended that dues go up. But we can set our own membership dues. If you want to pay more, that's what that donation, that extra donation thing is for. That, if you say
it's $300 more
oh, because we're expecting more members.
Oh yeah. No, we're expecting more members.
Yes.
So what are we at right now, members? wise, Sandra? 137,
Oh.
137 members.
And I want to have 135.
So our goal is now 150. See how we do things on the fly. But yeah, we've
Good job,
increased,
membership.
right? Good job, membership. It's been an amazing
Yay.
process. So we definitely are doing much better, and hopefully we'll. Yes, ma'am.
I
Sandra.
think Judy's looking at the expense, which looks like 960 now.
Yeah, 2024.
Yeah, and that would be because we're having more membership events this year.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
You mean under
Yeah, I think
membership
that's what
team?
they're-
Team, sorry, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing
So
more.
we're doing more.
Mhm.
We have more activities and, it's an opportunity for us to meet each other and find out what's going on in the week and get our new members familiar with what our strategies are for the year. And
There's a lot of business that goes on. So these social events are really important from the membership. And also over there as you're leaving, you'll see some membership brochures. Those were just printed and we ran out. So please grab 3, 4, 5. If you know someone who's like-minded like you, we would love to have them. And men men are members too, and students are free. And that's in that membership brochure, okay? So even if you're a part-time student, you're a free student, you're a free membership for the league.
And over there are little half sheets for you to start nominating people for Love the League.
That's right. And no, you're good. Questions for Tammy on your budget? None from Brenda online? Nope. All right. So would you mind flipping those lights again? Do we have a motion to adopt your 2023-2024 budget? Chuck Montoya, and I'm sorry, did I hear Anna? Anna Lopez is my second. Any additional questions on your 2023 budget? If you notice, Julie, I'm sorry, can you bring up that last, the bottom where it says withdraw from CD savings, very last part, please? I'm just going to make one little comment before I ask for a vote. So you noticed your previous budget where we were looking at 12,000 out of your thing. We ended up, wait, is that actual? Yeah, that's the actual number. 16,000 before you were a 501c3. So again, this is the fundraising team's goal in addition to everything else that they do for you and sponsors for Love the League and selling those tickets and getting people out there. But that's your give day budget, what we consider our budget and our goal. Okay. So if you're a grant writer, we would love to have you on that team. All right. So any other discussion on your budget before I've got a first and a second. No additional questions for clarification. I'm sorry, this is a pretty big thing for us. So I just want to make sure I'm getting all those. All right. All right. The motion before you is to adopt the 2023-2024 budget as presented. We will have a raise hand vote if you are for and then against. So all those in favor, if you are for it, please raise your hand. Okay. Those against, please raise your hand. All right. The ayes have it. Thank you so much for that. The motion to adopt your 2023-2024 budget is adopted. Very good. It's a lot of work. So thank you, team. Thank you very much for all of that. And for those teams who presented your budget, we do know that we did cut some things, but hopefully we'll do better for you in 2024 year. Okay. So thank you for that. All right. Another big part of you as members. This is another ask of you. 2023-2024 local program was discussed at your positions in action meeting that was held on January 21st, 2023. Positions in action meeting summary was printed in your voter. The existing positions were referred to your admin team with no changes, and the admin team recommends acceptance of this program. So can we have a motion to adopt the positions for action for 2023?
Are we just skipping the team reports? I'm sorry.
Team annual reports. I'm sorry, that was next on my list, but admin team report. What am I missing in my agenda here?
Are all the team reports?
You're right. Positions in action was next. My bad.
Yeah.
Team reports.
Well, you put a motion, so I move.
I'm sorry, we're gonna have to cancel that. We will come back. Robert's Rules of Order says I can't cancel that motion, right?
You can rescind it.
I can rescind it, yes, ma'am. Okay, we're gonna rescind that and we will come back to you, Dr. Bush. Thank you. Okay, reports of your annual team meeting. Thank you. My agenda is messed up here. And that's what you told me to fix. Son of a biscuit. Okay. All right, your team annual reports. Next on your agenda is your admin team, right? And your team reports. Also, again, they were published in your voter. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding any team report that you saw? I do want to add, because it was already been brought up, your admin, one of your admin team reports, we talked about the administrative assistant position. So I do want to clarify what Tammy brought up in her, we did lose our administrative assistant. I don't know, it was about 30 days before the election. It seemed maybe a couple of weeks before the election, this municipal election. And we had just interviewed in December-ish. We had a lot of applicants. So we went back to the rubric that multiple admin team members, I couldn't do all of them. Julie was there, and I think Anna was there, a couple. Angie Stevens was in, Andrea Perry. So it was a big team effort to interview all of these candidates. And we went back to the rubric and found the top 2, and your admin team agreed that it would be fine to offer that position to the first one. And if she accepted, then if everything worked out, then we would be fine, and we necessarily wouldn't look to that second person. So to clarify and give you some more information about that admin assistant, the second person, she is a co-campaign manager for a school board candidate. And in an instance like this, we don't discourage our admin team members or even someone like our administrative assistant person for not participating. They just have to take a leave of absence. So for instance, if I ran for office, I would have to take a leave of absence from your admin team and your spokesperson. I'd have to step back. Juliet, when she runs for school board, she does not do communications. We fill in for her. So there is no, I say that. It's very restricted. She doesn't deal with candidate forms for D11, right? It's very different roles that we play. So this person is a co-campaign manager, and your admin team's monthly meeting is this upcoming Thursday. So we will be discussing that and what that looks like, because she can't be your admin assistant and be a campaign manager or even a co-campaign manager. It's a pretty key role for even a nonpartisan race like school board. It's not good for us. Okay, so that's kind of how we work. So that's your admin team, kind of your administrative assistant. The other alternative, if the second person doesn't work, we've been talking about interns for a while. Okay, so my task was to speak to UCCS while I'm in town this week, Pikes Peak Community College, Pikes Peak State College, and see about possibly an intern thing for the league. So hopefully you might be seeing some more information on that, but I do want to clarify, because your budget does include administrative support, and we may not have, it depends. Okay, so we're still working on that. All right, so I hope that answered and clarified that came up during the budget. Anybody else have any other team questions? I already mentioned the fundraising number and what we're going to do for that $10,000 goal. Any other questions from your team reports? Okay, so also each team advocacy, this is one of those volunteer asks, my hard ask, advocacy, communications, the budget team, membership, events, fundraising, and your voter service. They're happy to have additional members. So if you need to have a couple of hours a month, please consider joining one of those. Talk to one of the team chairs here today. I know we do need a new leader for advocacy, right? Judith Rice-Jones was our advocacy chair for many years, and we are still looking for someone. And don't let her scare you, right? It can be done. Yes, ma'am.
Can someone do it if they're brand new to the league?
They can.
They get a
They
lot of
can.
mentoring.
Trust me, we had an admin team member. I think she joined in October. I don't know when. Terry, when did you join? And then you were on the admin team within 6 months. Does that sound about right? Yeah. So yes, new members. And Tammy, that's right. Tammy, we literally the same month she became our treasurer.
See?
So as long as we're not going to throw you out there, right? We're going to make sure that you are well cared for.
Okay.
Those people, again, let's talk.
Okay.
And I'm going to have you, if Judith is still here, you're going to talk to that lady over the very end to get her opinion, but you got big shoes to fill. I'm not going to lie to you. You got big shoes to fill. But it can be done. And there's a team, the Observer Corps, membership has been working to get members on our Observer Corps. And that's a good help. So if you're interested, let's talk.
We have a good half dozen folks who are interested in participating.
We need a leader. So very well. Something to lead. There is. That's right. There are some to lead. So we definitely have that. Do I need no, I don't need to pass those, right? We're all right. And no other questions for any of your team leaders, right? Okay. So we may have a new team leader. So very good. But we do also have a new events team leader. I know that this year, which is Dr. Duncan, right? I believe, Dr. Duncan, you were our new events team leader. Is that right? Do I remember that? Yes. I'm pretty sure Dr. Duncan, Christine Embry was one, and then our new voter service team chair is Terry. Terry is taking over your voter service team. So, all right. Yes, babe, you were, weren't you? Yes, you are. I know you. Well, you are definitely, because I had a conversation with you and Christine. So, okay. Nominating committee report, is that next on the agenda? I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Questions? Positions in action. I'm sorry. Positions in action. Here we go. Back to positions in action.
And team reports were only from the admin.
I'm sorry.
No.
They were all published in the voter. And that's what I was saying. If you had any questions for any team, whatever it's fundraising, advocacy, communications, we're all here. Most of your team chairs are here if you have questions of those teams. Does anybody have any questions of any team?
I just want to make a.
Yes, ma'am.
I did not receive the election for at-large city council.
Yes,
I am actively campaigning for District 4, even though that's not going to be until November 2024.
So specifically still City Council, Colorado Springs City Council District 4, which would be in 2024. No. Sorry, 20. 2025. Thank you. No. It's an odd year. City election odd year.
No, Avila is term limited and her term is over 2024.
I'm confused. Okay. We're going to figure that out. Yes, ma'am. Got you. Okay. Positions in action, or I'm sorry, any other questions on any teams? Again, there's a lot that goes on in those team meetings, and every team meets once a month, right? Even advocacy, we're getting that one. I say, membership, fundraising, all of those meetings are on LWVPPR.org. So if you want to join, most of those are virtual as well. So if you want to join one, you can join virtually. Okay. All right. Positions in action. Back to that one. Yes. Again, I went over, I'm sorry, your local 2023-2024 local program was discussed at that meeting in January 2021-2023, which is positions in action, which used to be called program planning. For those of you that are in the league for a while, you're going to see some of these terms in some of our bylaws. Program planning is no longer, it is now issues in action. Okay, so it's awesomely confusing. All right, positions in action meeting was printed, summary was printed in your voter. Existing positions were referred to the team, admin team with no changes. And we recommend acceptance. Your admin team does recommend acceptance of this program. And may I now have a motion to adopt the positions for actions for 2023-2024?
I move.
Can you say it for me? I move to adopt for me.
I move to adopt
the positions in action for 2023-2024, right?
the positions in action for 2023-2024.
Thank you for that motion. A second?
I second.
Kat Gale. All right, question on the floor, or excuse me, your motion on the floor is adoption of the positions for action 2023-2024. Is there any discussion on those issues?
Is there an option to maybe highlight how many positions there are? Those that we see at this particular time would be more important than others.
Yes, ma'am. Do we have those issues that, can you bring up that specifically what was in the, because I'm assuming that was in the voter, right?
You want the report?
Yep. 2023 positions for action. All right. So to highlight some of the ones that are important. Number 1, redistricting of counties. We've already attended one of these meetings.
That, well, to me, that is a critical issue.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Given the fact that the recommendations at all levels are for multiple participation, and given the difference between the redistricting you just went through that was televised at citizen meetings, and in case you all didn't know, the county commissioners voted that they would take up the committee for redistricting, which is
Very one-sided.
It's beyond one side. It's just wrong.
I'm being nice.
But,
All right, so that's a critical one. What else on this top one do you think? Top 5. Let's go with that.
water.
Water. Okay, which I think we pretty much tried to put them in the order that we listed them in. But so water is second.
Water use or water quality or water quantity.
All right, so we're going to put all of those water things as your second. What else you got? That's pretty much right.
Okay, now more people are to apply guns and auto accidents and auto accidents have been high. So it's just, you know,
Okay. What else?
The American Lung Association just gave Colorado Springs an F for our air quality for ozone. That's from the American Lung Association.
Okay, the first we were talking about were statewide. Second, the air quality is under the local. So if we want to divide those up,
Well, remember, we only have so much capacity.
what
So,
I'm just saying is that's the way that it was done in the positions in action.
okay. I thought redistricting of counties and air quality were all under still local.
Redistricting counties was a state law.
So they're in both the state and the local.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just talking about our own redistricting of PPR. Because that meeting that was held, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? That was 2 hours long just for that part of the redistricting portion was extremely difficult. I can't imagine someone who had a job being able to attend that meeting, but all right, so I'm sorry, we got it first is redistricting of counties, water, gun policy, and air quality. Again, we're jumping from state and local, but those are top 4. I have another comment in the back.
Yeah, I just comment about the county meeting also actually had to do with air quality because they voted not to accept the federal money for electric vehicles. Yeah, so that's and to also talk a little bit about the districting piece, the county must have public meetings. And the recommendation, they have to have at least 3, and the recommendation from the staff was to have 5. And it seems to me those are where we can really make a huge difference, and where it's an opportunity to have each member bring someone, right, whether online or not. And so I worked on about redistricting. I would be happy to provide before those meetings just an overview of the redistricting process, the kinds of questions to ask, just so people feel really comfortable, which you're all really familiar with this, but sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of a refresher. So we can put that together. I think.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm sorry, what was your name?
I'm Rebecca Involved.
Thank you, Ms. Rebecca. I'm sorry, say that again.
Geocivics program at UCCS, which is the local authority. I just want to point out too that the council of the commissioners have known for years that they have to have this finished by September 21st, and they could start it.
Right.
So
it's frustrating
on every level.
So the things that you're talking about now, and I've got 4. Can I get one more from you guys as top 5? Because again, here's where advocacy, voter service team are. Here's where we work together. Right? Voter service is about educating voters. Advocacy then can help us guide what we're advocating for based on your top 5 preferences. Now, we can't get to all of these. Please know that, again, we are volunteers. But if it's on this list from our positions in action and something comes up regarding city council salary, and that's not really our top 5, we're still going to go. We're still going to talk about it. We're still going to advocate for it, okay? But just know that I'm not necessarily going to put out and I say I, the collective we of the league, that's what that means, okay, not Shelley. Communicating through your admin team and all how that works together is these top 5. So yes, Ms. Kelly.
I just wondered, with one's called Concern for Health and Welfare of Children, within that umbrella, can it be so broad that it included a lot of the domestic violence work you just did, as well as education aspect and reproductive rights and homelessness and mental illness, because all 4 of those are huge factors that affect the welfare of children? I know you said don't get big because there are limited resources, but is it good to have a topic like that that can have just such a broad reach?
Sure. I'm gonna say yes. Yeah. I mean, to me, mental health for children is pretty important, right?
Well,
Suicide
and their
rate,
parent,
the
right?
suicide rate
Their
for children
caregivers.
is pretty high up there.
Both
And you're right,
directions.
their
Free
parents
lunch.
as well. The free lunch program, that's right. June Waller mentioned that at the, so that kind of does go under the health and welfare of children with regards to that free lunch and how we support that.
And it'll get a lot of people. You
And
talked
daycare
about bringing
resources.
people along.
You have to realize that under the free lunch, and that's what you brought up, school districts can opt out.
That's right. So we want to make sure we're advocating to those school districts, please don't opt out, right? We support this as a local league, and that's part of your job as a member, right? Don't get me wrong. If you're not on the advocacy team, you're still advocating, okay? You're advocating for these things because they're important to our local league, okay? So I'm going to ask you, one, to do that. If you see anything, and that's another thing, there's so many news sources. You get your news source from a different place than I get mine, that gets Julie, that Judith gets hers, who, by the way, gets a wealth of information. So if you might see something, send it to us that we may have missed, and send it to the info@lwvppr.org email address, and someone will get it. Okay. But I still need to, are we hearing the children kind of, maybe that
Yes.
5th one?
Yes.
Do I hear the 5th one is children?
Like the water,
Okay.
I can include a bunch of. your
Yeah,
work
I'm
in
going to
there.
put water. There's multiple things for water. Okay. So water is our 2nd one.
Mhm.
And then I got 5th one is
Children.
children.
Yeah.
And again, that's encompassing daycare resources, the free lunch advocating, and just the welfare, health and welfare of children. And I'm sorry, Judith, go ahead.
So-
Kat, you're next.
So I'm not proposing this to add to the 5, but all of us have, I think, all of us have issues we care most about. And probably because I'm so old, I have 2. One of them is guns and the other is our climate emergency. I have granddaughters. To me, our climate emergency is the #1. And everybody north of the Palmer Divide is addressing this. Denver and Boulder have climate taxes. They're subsidizing electric bikes. They're subsidizing heat pumps. We are like decades behind in Colorado Springs. But it doesn't have to be one of the groups. You can still participate. The statewide climate emergency team has 7 sub-teams. So there's air quality, transportation, etc. So if you have a personal passion that's not in these 5, you can look to see what the state is looking at, or nationally. You can participate online through those as well. So that's why I'm.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Kat.
I'm with Juice on the climate emergency, but I think Retool Colorado Springs is something that people don't know about, and I didn't find out about it until I was a candidate. And that's basically shenanigans to restrict people's access to speak and vote in planning and land use decisions, which are directly related to water and air and those other
And
things.
unfortunately, it's done.
It is done. So now we can only educate. So we've talked about that, and I'll get to that.
And we attempt to repeal.
Some of it's been changed. I'm in the historic neighborhood partnership. And I think
It was because of their voice. A lot of that was kind of stripped from that. So it is something we have to watch. But so here's what we're going to do. First, redistricting of counties. Second, water. That's water use, water quality, because there are some areas there are some communities in our area that do have some water quality issues. Third, guns. Fourth, I'm going to go ahead and I'm overreaching here, environment and climate emergency, because you put air quality as our 4th. So we're going to put environment and climate emergency. So maybe we can tie in with the state on that one. And then the 5th one is children. So again, we're umbrella on those 5. So know that that is advocacy and voter service and working towards events team. Now that you know, here are 5 things that you can now plan some quarterly events around those issues. Okay. So that's kind of how this works, right? You tell us what we're supposed to do, and then we execute for you. And I mean, like, do it, not. Okay, I know.
Yes, we're also supposed to vote though to affirm all of our current league, local league positions. So you need a motion.
This 2023 positions for action?
Just, no, not the focus, which is fine, but you need to affirm basically the program that all of the positions that this group wants no changes at all.
Okay.
So, and there are no recommendations for changes, no recommendations for study. So
okay,
I can make the motion, which would be, I move that we accept, I move that we keep all local league positions.
Second.
Duncan. Any discussion, further discussion?
Second, we need a second.
I'm sorry, is that, who's online? Miss Brenda? Oh, Linnea. Is that Linnea?
Linnea and
Yes. You need a second for your motion? I second.
Thank you. Thanks, Linnea. So any other further discussion on your issues in action in our program? All right. All in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? All right, your ayes have it. Thank you for the motion to adopt the program as presented is adopted. That was the other one, right, Julie, that I got? Okay, perfect. All right, back to your agenda. Nominating team report, is that right? Is that what we're on?
Yep.
Yes. Son of a gun, 2 o'clock. Oh, love it. Okay, nominating reports. This year's committee consisted of Andrea Perry. No, that's not right. Sandra Collins. Sandra Collins. Shelley Roars. And we had Felicia really early on, but we lost Felicia from our, she just, yeah, we didn't lose her, but you know what I mean. All right, the nominating committee proposes the following slate of nominees for election to your admin team for 2023 to 2025. Again, these are 2-year terms. You have, in alphabetical order, Tammy Harold, officially for her first 2-year term. Candace Lehman. Is Candace here today? She's not, is she? I missed her.
No.
All right, so that's.
You're not out on board, sorry.
No.
I'm gonna say, okay. Terry Weber, I'm sorry, and myself, Shelley Roars. So those are the 2-year terms that are ending, and I'm sorry, we're putting them from 2023 to 2025, those 4. And then a resignation did cause 1 additional seat on our admin team to come up. So that's why you were looking at 1 more person to fill out the remaining term. And the nominating committee is proposing for this nominee, which would be a 2023 to 2024. They've only got 1 year left, and that would be Dr. Dietrich Duncan filling that slot that is that open seat on our team. And then nominations again, who are for the 2023 to 2024. I think that's wrong, isn't it, Joan?
No, it's the admin
Oh, okay.
for the nominating team.
Nominating committee. The nominations for the 2023-2024 nominating committee are Sandra Collins and Joan. So where before it was myself, Felicia, and Sandra, your nominating committee is Sandra and Joan, and then someone from the admin team will be appointed at your new admin team meeting. Okay.
And there are 2 members for the admin team that will be appointed by the admin team.
Yes, ma'am.
It says 2 additional ones.
But I don't have that just yet. We go into that. Yeah, the 2 at the, but that's specifically from the admin team, right, at the first meeting. So there will be 2 other positions. We can have up to 9 on your admin team. 7 are appointed by you. And then your admin team can ask you to do a 1-year term on your admin team. Okay. All right. Any additional nominations for your admin team from the floor? Anybody interested in that? I think that's pretty much full, right? All right. And forgot to remind you, if there was a nomination, you make sure you have the consent of that nominee before you put that person's name in, right? But any other additional nominees from the floor or the Zoom? No. Okay, so we do have 1 nominee for each position. Therefore, a voice vote is going to be used. Those in favor of the slate as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, your ayes have it. Candidates to the admin team and nominating committee are elected. Thank you very much for agreeing to serve. Appreciate it. And of course, a huge thank you to our outgoing administrative team members, which are Anna Lopez and Molly Williams. So thank you to them. And then Joan has been, she was appointed on our admin team, Joan Hofer was, and so thank you to her, along with Tammy Harold for filling vacancies during the year. So we appreciate you guys for stepping in, and we will make sure we get a team picture before you leave today. So don't forget that, okay? Because I forgot it last time. All right, the 2023-2024 admin team will be presented. Please stand as I call your name and remain standing. Again, Kelly Roars, 2023-2025. Tammy Harold, come on up, 2023-2025. Candace Lehman is not here. Terry Weber, 2023-2025. Continuing in your 2-year terms through 2023 are Andrea Perry, she's not here. Angela Stevens, not here. Dr. Deetra Duncan, who is completing the 2-year term of Judith Rice Jones. So come on over here.
Sure.
We're gonna get a picture.
Might as well do it
Right, do it right now.
before they get away.
Welcome your new administrative
Right,
team.
1, 2, 3.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it. All right. So now that we kind of just did this a little while ago when you went through the issues in action, we were kind of prepping you to give your admin team some direction, right? Any other, does anybody have any other ideas that we didn't discuss that we kind of went over in those issues? Again, things come up. Anything to kind of that you want to chat about? We haven't talked about the Harvard Law Election Clinic thing yet. We're going to wait to the end to do that. But Kelly first, Judith second.
Are you able to help teacher unions at all?
Teacher unions, are we able to help them? As in, what does that mean? What does help look like to you?
In certain districts, they're not even allowed to communicate with staff members. Like they can't even go to new staff orientation and hand out a flyer saying, hey, we exist. If you need anything, let us know. Or they can't send an email to staff email to be by the way, there's an informational meeting or annual meeting coming up. It almost seems like they don't even have a right to exist. And then superintendents, repeatedly, 2 different superintendents told them that they were a special interest group and refused to meet with them as a group, and only would meet with them individually as individual staff members.
Okay. So the first thing is that I don't know the law with regards to communication, but I do know somebody who might.
Yeah.
Okay. Who may be able to guide us in a little bit and knowing what we can do to assist in there. I don't think we've ever advocated for in that.
This even just talk.
Education. It's about education.
Yeah.
So let's see what we can kind of do to take that offline, and we'll get back with you. Okay. And follow up with you to see what we can do to help. Because I'm going to ask some more people that know a lot more than I do.
Can I follow up with a little bit more?
Sure.
And then some school boards have also said that they can't meet in executive session with existing or former staff members, which I also feel doesn't sound legal.
A lot of this sounds like transparency issues.
Inside the state, you know.
Yeah.
So there's for people concerned about education, there's a really good group of parents called Neighbors of Education that just seems to be really aware of the issues. And so I strongly suggest that if you have concerns about education, which as a parent and a grandparent really should, because it's becoming a total disaster. And I'm so glad that my granddaughters are in California. But they're doing a lot of good work. It's called Neighbors of Education. And if you need any information on them, I'm also watching.
Yeah, right. We got people in the know. So we'll follow up with that. Neighbors for Education will be one of our sponsors at our school board forums in the fall. They've already committed to that, as well as Citizens Project. I'm pretty sure that they're on board, but we're going to be meeting with those co-sponsors after this forum on Tuesday to kind of get them on board for next year. But and we'll follow up with you because there might be some, some advocacy and some learning on that part with regards to our own local league. So thank you for that. Judith, you were up. Yes, ma'am. I had asked, is there any direction for your new admin team, ideas or anything that wasn't in?
So something that's come up in some of the candidate forums and has come up over the years is pay for council. Currently, our 9 council members supervise 9 employees in the city. That's the total number of employees for all the council members. The mayor supervises 3,000 city employees. To say the least, it's a little out of balance. And there are a lot of young, well-qualified people who would like to run, but anybody who's trying to have a career and perhaps buy a house, there's no way that they can afford that. Our current council makes $6,250. Our wonderful esteemed county commissioners who are redistricting themselves as committee, they make $136,000. So, look at that sheet of data.
That's set by the state.
The county is set by the state. The city is set by us. And the city councilors in Denver make $125,000 a year, and each one of them has a staff.
Won't pass a tax increase for anything. So how can we increase their salaries?
We passed a tax for roadways. We passed taxes for parks. We passed taxes for quite a few things.
So here's what I'm going to recommend for city council pay. That's advocacy team, 100%. And if we have 3 or 4 people who really want to focus on this, and that means pushing the city to take meetings and to have it on their agenda, because alternative voting methods took us, I don't know, how many years to get on their agenda? Literally, it took us years to get the city to talk about alternative voting methods. And what I mean by that is one of the instant runoff, ranked choice voting, if you heard those terms, that's alternative voting methods. And the league supports some of those. I think Denver just passed supporting ranked choice voting, the Denver group. Okay, so we do, and it took us years. So if we want to talk about city council pay, we want to start it now and start talking to those city council members. If you know yours, if Nancy Henjones is one of yours, or Yolanda is yours, Michelle, whoever your city council members, talk to them. And then let's say, hey, Shelley will come and talk to you, or the league, the admin team will come and talk to those people. If you're not comfortable, obviously, but please involve us if it gets down to that depth. We would love to have that conversation. Okay, so let's, if you're interested in that, I'm going to ask you to talk to Sandra, because she's kind of working the advocacy team, because it is something, Judith, that has come up multiple times. And you're right, we talked about it with lots of candidates, and talking about it doesn't necessarily get things done. Okay. Any other direction to your admin team, different ideas? I know last year when we did this, somebody came up with a couple of fundraising ideas for us. We didn't actually implement any of them, but they were awesome ideas. We did have a really fun idea come up in your fundraising team. It's going to be approached to your admin team on Thursday, which is a huge rummage sale. Huge. I mean, huge. I know that's my only question. Where's the stuff coming from? I was going to say, how many members in here got a couple boxes that they can donate of good quality? I don't want your trash from your garage. It's dirty and I got to clean it, right? But I bet you got a couple of really nice things around your house that you don't use, can donate them to a gently used yard sale. And on average, no, we would not be the only person there. There's another group that we met at the Poor Richard's place where we had that meet and greet. She's got I can't remember what her name was, but she has an organization, as well as Citizens Project could also do it with us. So it would be indoors. This is not going to be outside, right? I'm sorry. Yes, it was you. It was you. You're so awesome. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Kareen, you're right. So hopefully that would be coming. It wouldn't be after the election, right? We focus on the things that are important, and that's a byproduct of what we do. So please know that could be one of your fundraisers as well. Anybody have any other fun ideas or things that you want to add to your admin team before I move on to your next meeting, which I think is annual meeting for the delegations to state convention? No? All right. All right, so next item on your agenda is the League of Women Voters of Colorado will hold its annual meeting. Again, Tammy mentioned it will be in a virtual format. Those are your dates. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I got that on mine. May 19th to the 20th, is that right? Okay. I gotta put that on my calendar. Son of a gun. Admin team will appoint 6 delegates to the council at our meeting on May 4th. Anybody interested in attending as a delegate, please let us know after this meeting. Now is the time that you are to provide direction to those delegates who will represent us at the state council. So where Anna said some of our issues and actions were rolling over from state to local, right? Now you can say, hey, this is a state issue, climate emergency. We want to make sure we're attending those meetings. We want to make sure that we're stressing to the state at that meeting on their convention, May 19th to 20th. PPR, what can we do to help you with these things? So is there anything else that specifically statewide that you want to tell your delegates to represent you at the state council?
I just want to mention that beyond the 6, any of you who are members can go. It's only $5, but
and I think we actually covered that cost in our budget, so it doesn't cost you a dime. Yes, ma'am.
So, Rebecca, one of the most important structural pieces lack going forward of local news coverage, right? So not so much in Denver and Colorado Springs, but in smaller towns and in places where there just simply aren't people, and really people who go and observe, right? That's what you're really doing. And that's a really important piece. And so I don't know how the state is talking about that, but just as a transparency, as an accountability process, the more that happens at school board and city council and county commission meetings where nobody is asking any questions and there's no pushback, the harder it is to be a functioning democracy. So to me, that's a fundamental question. It's not something we're going to solve, but it's just something I think that needs to be, but we need to be aware of.
Thank you. Anything else for the state? I'm sorry, my bad. Kareem.
The one thing that drives everything else, voting rights.
Okay. Anything else? Anything online, ladies? Gentlemen, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
What about voter apathy?
Voter apathy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I have I'm not sure this is exactly the place.
Sorry, go ahead.
My name is Bill Stanley. I'm a man, but I'm a member. I'm also a money coach. My name is Bill. Call me Dollar Bill. My passion is financial literacy for all. The state of Colorado is not one of the 20 states that has financial literacy in the public education system.
That's a lie.
Tried.
I'm sorry, I got 2 people
Okay,
saying
it's
that's
not-
not true.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
okay.
that's what I see. There's no compulsory financial education in the Colorado school system. Now, I tried through my representative of the legislature to introduce this. They sent something on to the Department of Education in Colorado, and I got back a nonsensical reply. I'd like to see if the League of Women Voters can at least look at this and perhaps help, because, you know, I taught my dog to talk. He does 1-minute videos for K through 3, Zorro the Money Bill. How long, you know, we could get somebody to watch that. There are financial literacy teachers here, but it's not in the public school system. There used to be financial education classes put on by economic people. So that's what my idea is. Can you help with my passion for financial literacy in the school system?
It's definitely not in our wheelhouse, right? I will say, well, let's look into it. I got a couple people, we've got people who have been teachers, one who's online and was a teacher for a while. So let's look at what that looks like. That also falls under, for me, children, right? It's a whole, that's under our children kind of You know, our umbrella. So advocacy, Mr. Stanley, is where I'm going to send you for that. And then we'll get some more information about what that looks like in our schools.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm not saying the league's going to lead it,
No.
right? Because civics is probably our definitely our, we got to get civics education first.
I
Yes,
just,
ma'am.
following up, Linnea, who was a social studies teacher, says it is in the Colorado social studies standards for all grades. So it might not be a required class
Well,
specifically, but it is in the Colorado
okay.
standards.
I-
And she suggested looking at the Colorado.
Okay,
Department of
I
Education.
suggest it be,
There we go.
okay, well.
Yeah.
That it be required, because there's too many people go through the school system without a clue.
Well, again, we can only do so much, right? I definitely have, I learned from former Congresswoman Liz Patterson, God rest her soul, that, you know, baby steps, and that one is probably just a little bit outside of our wheelhouse, but let's see what we can do under umbrella for advocacy, and maybe we can do something.
All I
Okay.
can do is say, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any other state concerns? I did add for my own, for the notes, Kelly, alternative voting. We got the ball rolling a bit with regards to one meeting with the city and alternative voting methods. And again, what would have helped you avoid a runoff in your recent mayoral election is ranked choice voting. So either way, we're going to see what turnout is, and maybe that'll help state our case a little bit better, because we're about voter turnout. And that's one of those things that kind of wraps itself around. So for me, from a state perspective, alternative voting methods is one of those things. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Would that save the city some money?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it depends on how much. We don't know exactly how much, but there's a little bit more work on the city's end. So there are some extra costs on the front end, but you don't have the back end cost of your runoff, all the mailing costs, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, how much it saves, I don't know that number. I'm not kind of that poli-sci major, but I do know that, you know, one, it would hopefully have, you know, it would have prevented us having possibly lower voter turnout and runoff than we had in an actual election. Right. That's what we're hoping for. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Theobald.
So I also had an interesting conversation with someone about ranked choice voting and or other alternative voting processes, where people say, oh, it's very difficult to do this. You know, how can the electorate understand this? And in a conversation with a hunter who said, oh, that sounds exactly like what we do when we are choosing what our opportunity is to go hunt in a particular place and a particular animal, and that you get some kind of ranking, because if you got an animal last year, you're at a lower ranking, right? And then you can have to choose different processes. I don't understand any more than what I just said, but my point being, it is not, and it's something that happens at a government process, and it's something that people can understand and do. So there's really, that's not a good argument.
The military does it right now. When you're in the military, if you choose the top 3 positions you want, because guess what? I may not get my first choice, right? Because I want to go to Hawaii and they don't have this field. So they go to my second choice. Shit, didn't get the second choice. Then they go to the third choice. That's ranked choice voting. That is the military at its core, from basic training after you get out of tech school, right? I wanted communications, couldn't do it. So they put me in admin because I couldn't lift 75 pounds over my head, which is BS. Total BS, but that's how that works. So same field, same type of thing. Now it's an education thing. What we as league members then, if we take on that role, is educating the public, and we did. One of our community conversations was on ranked choice voting. Or I'm sorry, it was on alternative voting methods, and ranked choice was specifically one that we hit. So any other direction for your delegates? This is awesome assistance for us. Okay. Before I get to announcements and wrap up, which is the Harvard Law Election Clinic and some reminders of what we've got going on, does anybody have any new business that we have not discussed, that has not been brought up for today? Any new business? No? Nothing? Okay. Moving on from new business. That's how easy that was. Final announcements from your admin team. Harvard Law Election Clinic is that thing that is on our website, right here, along with Citizens Project, Black and Latino Leadership Coalition, and Colorado Latinos Vote, are suing the city in U.S. court, district court, to move municipal elections from the spring to the fall. When that fall is, if it's an even number, odd number, or whatever that is, that's not our, I mean, it's in the core of our, we talk about voter turnout. Obviously, moving it to the even number would help with voter turnout, but ultimately a decision like that would be made up to the judge. But that is the, where we are in that process is we are in basically in the deposition phase. The end of May, we will be deposed. I think it's May 22nd, week of, does that sound about right, Chuck? So week of May 22nd is when the attorneys from Harvard will be here in town, along with the city attorneys, who we have recently found out have hired a pretty high profile name against us. Okay, so in addition to their costs that they claim are pretty outrageous to defend this lawsuit, they have now went and hired a pretty expensive attorney. Okay. It's basically us telling our story. That's what's great about it. We have nothing to hide. We're all about voter turnout and data, and voter turnout tells you that 30% of the population voted in our most recent municipal election. And out of that, and I'm going off of a 2021 numbers, your ratio for white voter turnout versus minority voter turnout is double the amount. Okay, whites are turning out in double amount of numbers than minorities. That is according to our lawsuit. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 says the timing of an election is just as affects your voter turnout just as much as the people on your, whether it's partisan and stuff like that. So know that that's the basis of our lawsuit. We do expect it to go on for several years. Don't think that this is, hey, we're going to have an answer by 2023 or 2025, right? We're not sure. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Question.
Briefly, what's the historical background on this issue?
Historical background. So the Citizens Project and the League, it's been 10 years ago, at least 10 years ago, about a decade. So 10 years ago, Citizens Project and the League looked at moving the municipal elections from the spring to the fall. They talked about it with multiple groups. But ultimately, it was decided that, it just wasn't feasible, that it's changing your charter. That's what you're doing. You have to change the city's charter. And that's a daunting task, right? There's multiple ways to do it. You can do it by voter, right? You put your issue on the ballot. You can change the charter that way. I believe the city can, your city council mayor can change the charter if it's approved.
I don't think they can change that part of it.
Oh, but there are things that they can change that are procedural or administrative. It's more administrative. It doesn't affect the wording or the actual what happens. All right. So then your other way is to win in court, take it to the court.
So it's always up to this point, at least, been a spring election.
Yes, ma'am. Since the charter began, right? Always spring. And we have talked about it on multiple occasions, again, from a league perspective, but it's just never taken a step to actually implement. Yes, ma'am.
You have statistics on the difference between November odd number elections and November even number.
We do. Yes, ma'am. So drastically different. Your numbers are hugely different with regards to minority voter turnout is very comparable, where it's more like maybe 8 to 10 percentage points different than the huge 50% of what your population is. There are two studies that, Julie, did we get the studies posted on our website? So there are 3 documents that go into the information that you have. 3 experts have been hired by Harvard Law Clinic on our behalf, right? And they took all that data that you're talking about in even numbered elections for 2016, 2018, maybe 2020. Okay, those 4 even years versus 2017, 2019, and 2021. And those numbers, again, I point to, I can only say that they were only 8 to 10 percentage points different in an even numbered year versus 50% difference in an odd number spring. I'm not talking fall school board, right? I'm talking spring.
So what you're saying is the difference between, if you go from spring to odd number, or you go to even number, if you go to the odd number, yes, there's a difference, but it's not nearly as great as it is in the springtime in terms of.
Yes, yeah, it's average. It's average for a city.
Not so great. The disparity or the.
That's correct.
Is not so great.
That's correct.
So it's, who's going to make this decision?
A judge.
One judge.
One judge.
Which can be appealed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess.
Now, if the city loses, I doubt that they would appeal. If we lose, we would probably appeal. But then again, that's up to some attorneys and not us at this point. But if the city were to lose, there was one time, I can't remember when, Judith, and I'm going to maybe need your memory on this one, that the voters voted to change the charter, and it took 7 years for the city to implement that change. 7 years. And I'm pretty sure it's in, and go to on our website, the documents section as a league member. And I thought that's where we put in the Harvard Law stuff, was under documents. Okay. So this is another sheet that we have on your website as well. This will answer a lot of your questions about ballot fatigue. Someone's going to tell you from the city, well, what about ballot fatigue, right? And there is some statistics on that kind of stuff, like, you know, that stuff would be at the very end. But if you notice on this last one, how many people didn't flip over their ballot for that TOPS issue? Your numbers were off if you noticed in how many people voted for the mayors versus how many people voted for that issue. So yeah, so basically here's a lot of your election stuff. And then I'm going to have Julie add 2 more research things. And that's where a lot of the dry data, I mean, I'm talking some major dry data from these researchers that talks about that turnout and how that affects us. Because it's not just about voter turnout, that this, it goes into racism, it goes into redlining, how we are very much, there's a lot of discrimination right here in Colorado Springs, and our charter, by having a spring municipal election, it goes against the Voting Rights Act. So that's what we're going off of. Okay.
Yeah, well, I understand that, but I guess the one thing I wondered is the lead in the negotiations that perhaps are going to go on with other partners or with the city itself. It seems like if it were in an odd number year, I understand moving from spring to fall. I get it. You know, we vote in the fall.
Right.
Now, but
right.
In the community collective. But the league is also about voters being educated.
Yes, ma'am.
And we are pretty difficult to educate yourself, president, senator, governor, lots of ballot issues. Oh, we're a mayor too. So, the mayor candidates are obviously going to have to raise a lot more money to get out there. So I just wondered, as a league member, I would appreciate if we would work towards it being in the odd number year, along with the school board election. So then you've got a community looking at its local government.
Right. And I'm gonna Terry's voter service, and they were on the Harvard Law lawyers were on the recent voter service team meeting. And again, that's not necessarily up to us. We can always put our 2 cents in, but the data is going to come from a bunch of that research thing that we're going to post on your online that kind of tells you, they're going to make that decision. It's kind of way above our head at that point. But we will definitely put it to our lawyers. So when we do get down to that phase, if it does get to that point, they know how we feel and when we feel it would be best suited. Because you're right, municipal elections flow very well with school board elections. It's very much a grassroots, down and dirty, right there all together.
Right here.
All local. Yes, ma'am. So again, hopefully some judge is very wise and sees the, that compatibility.
Get a hold of, you can't have.
Yes. Terry?
Then, as we discussed, it makes sense to put it in with all of the local, where you only have to learn the local stuff. But the far off rate from a presidential election to a midterm election is significant. And then to an odd number November election is even more, which is what we're going to do for the school board. And then April is down at the bottom. It's like there is no turnout. And I would urge everybody to just, first thing in the morning when you feel spry is look at the 38 pages of the lawsuit, because it talks about how the city council, which is a lot of historically has not been represented by minorities, has basically screwed over a district in the city. And that's where they're getting their voters right, that if more minorities voted in November, and they say that even if you have a wrong ballot, even if they don't finish it, there's still more people voting every box in the ballot than if it's an April election or an off-season. They might not be rich.
Well, and that is part of voter service team. So if we were to win this, you're going to see a whole different component of educating our public. So I've been told to wrap it up. I do want to kind of get to any final announcements. Forum reminder, this Tuesday, mayoral runoff candidate. If you live in this Colorado Springs, we want you at that forum at KRCC this Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. Okay. Admin team meeting is this Thursday, 6:30 p.m. via Zoom. If you're a league member, you are welcome to attend that meeting. Okay. Volunteer signups on our website. I already mentioned that. Pride is up there. Juneteenth and First Friday at the MAC in Manitou will be posted soon. So keep an eye out for that. Again, going to LWVPPR.org is where you're going to click volunteer, and then you're going to see a whole bunch of places for you to sign up. Okay. Please, again, volunteer for those teams. We do need some new team members. Any further business? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Julie.
I know somebody mentioned that they were having trouble getting into their account online, and since I'm here and there's somebody else who might be able to help, if you want to access your account and you never have before, we can take a look and try and do that together. So if you want to stick around, we have a little bit of time. We have the room until 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
And just something to keep in mind, these redistricting hearings, conversations are not going to be well publicized, likely, and it's going to be incumbent on us to say, okay, yeah, you're off on camping vacation, but maybe you could ask someone to go to this conversation and say their piece. So as in Texas, in North Carolina, they will announce the redistricting hearings the day before. They said they would not do that, but they would give at least 2 weeks notice. But anyway, it's going to be during the summer.
We will make sure we are promoting those for you as well. That's part of advocacy and voter service. That's kind of, again, educating the voters it's a team effort. It doesn't just take one team. Judith, yes, ma'am.
Resource, $5 to order it from Amazon. This is the latest edition of the league positions at the national level. And one thing they did this in this particular one, I think is really neat, is they have some history with it, which makes a lot of things make a lot more sense. So as I was reminded, that it's also available online. I'm from the older generation. I like to write notes, and it's only $5. So just FYI for Amazon.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Miss Judy.
So you will publish the time of the county district.
Once they have not announced them. We do know some deadlines. At that last meeting, there were some deadlines. So what you will see in your next voter, which is one of my articles, is outlining those deadlines from that meeting. Again, once they set those, it's our job just to make sure we get those and promote them to you. So yes, ma'am, we will get them out to you, hopefully in voters, if not a special email specifically for those meetings.
There was something in Manitou.
Well, that's what we're going to try to avoid that. So by communicating with the county, and their secretary is making sure that we get those rather than 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. the night before. That's just crazy. Okay.
I did get texts from, I'm not sure who.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And the meeting was the next day. I was not there.
Several of your league members, Judith was on that call. She spoke. I know Ms. Martinez from Colorado Latinos Votes was there as
There
well.
were only 30 people in the audience. I was on Zoom. Everyone who was there was opposed.
Opposed.
Nobody was there supporting.
And the commissioners, again, they appointed themselves, and every single person that spoke said, please don't appoint yourself. Please appoint an advisory team and an independent commission. And they literally just went ahead and did the exact opposite. But either way, we will hold them accountable, right? By being there and wearing our Observer Corps buttons. Doesn't say my name anymore. It just says Observer Corps. And we just go and sit and listen. And then you report back, and hopefully we can do some good that way. Okay.
And part of it was my husband graciously went for me because I was out of town, and he said, you know, the sense was the staff, it's just they're kind of lazy, right? That they don't want to invest in the independent commission process, which sure it does take a little bit more time, but there was this sense that, oh, the open meeting process is so difficult, and you know, the commissioners already know the rules, and you know,
Their staff who work for the county commissioners, they know that's what the county commissioners want responsibility.
Yeah. The county commissioners were very much in control that day. So, okay. Do we have any other further business?
About the state meeting, are people going to be driving up exactly?
No, it's virtual. It's only virtual, Judy. Yes, ma'am. It's all via Zoom, $5. If you want to go, we'll pay your way. Any other further business?
Note on
Yes,
the
Miss.
county rezoning. I know that we're nonpartisan, but just the last time a Democrat was an El Paso County Commissioner was 1970. That's before some of the. So just thought for the day.
Okay. No further business? No? All right. A motion for adjournment is not required. So I'm sorry, Miss Terry. Yes, ma'am. Further business? We don't need it. We do not need a motion for adjournment. So we are adjourned. Folks, thank you for your attention being here. Thank you. You're awesome. Thank you, Lynette and Brenda.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. It was good to see you.
Now let's see. Well, they finished early.